What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf, the Frisco stabbing. Let's talk about it. So if you guys had the opportunity to check out my last video, I talked to you specifically about how Carmelo Anthony should have been eligible for self-defense based off of the understanding that he wasn't defending himself nor engaging with just Austin Metcalf. We've already had statements by Hunter Metcalf that said that him and his brother were always together. They were always engaged, that they were always there to back each other up. We've seen the video to where we've seen three individuals to where Austin Metcalf is already known as the individual who accosted and assaulted and battered Carmelo Anthony. And again, we see in the video, there are three black shirts that come into contact with Carmelo Anthony. First initially, and then it comes back around, and then two simultaneously before Carmelo Anthony gets up, comes down, falls down, and runs away. Now, that's at least three members. Now, these three members all shared the same ideology that Carmelo Anthony was supposed to leave. They told him to leave. And we've already heard this multiple times, that Karmelo Anthony was told at least 15 times to leave. That means that there's more than one person. Now, there's also testimony by witnesses that state that Carmelo Anthony said specifically, F y'all, not you, but F y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Y'all are a bunch of P words. He's not talking about one person. He's talking about multiple people. Again, we're talking about concerted group action, which is three or more individuals who all share the same ideology and the same intent, which is to get Carmelo Anthony removed or moved from that tent. This makes this go from simple assault to serious intent to do great bodily harm under Texas law. You can go check this out. It's called concerted group action. Now, within concerted group action, you also talk about the self-defense doctrine. The self-defense doctrine allows for the response for lethal force. Now, this is a twist and turn, and this is how I believe this entire situation is filled and fueled with racism, prejudice, and manipulation. Carmelo Anthony was invited to that tent. That's why we see on the video he goes past not one, but two tents before he gets to that tent, because he was invited over there by Eddie Pera. Now, Eddie Pera has already come out on testimony and said specifically that he was not, quote unquote, friends with Carmelo Anthony, that he only was around him when his girlfriend was around him. Which means that if that's the case, if he did not consider Carmelo Anthony to be a friend, then why would you go out of your way to invite him over to a tent in which you had no intent of befriending him or engaging with him in a friendly manner? Now, when we also see the video, we see Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf arrive. And in the span of about 15 minutes, you see the group. It's about 5 or 6 or 7 individuals with Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf. Austin Metcalf goes directly to Carmelo Anthony. I mean, directly. As they transition as a group towards Carmelo Anthony, with Carmelo Anthony being the only individual that he is around by himself because Eddie Pera does not consider him to be a friend, that means that Carmelo Anthony is on the bleachers, who's been invited over by someone who is not his friend, did not have intention of befriending him or being a friend, as Eddie Pera has already testified that he only spoke to him a little bit and then stopped communicating with him. Now the question begets, did Eddie Pera invite Austin Metcalf or Hunter Metcalf or any one of those friends over specifically to the tent knowing that Carmelo Anthony was there? Because if that's the case, then this is a setup. This is a planned event. Now, through this measure, again, we've already established that there's at least 3 people. You have Hunter Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, and then the other individual who's already under the tent. We see Eddie Parra allegedly is the individual who came out of the tent and started using his phone to record. We have Eddie Parra is the individual who invited Karmelo Anthony over. Eddie Parra has already testified saying that he does not feel as though that he and Karmelo Anthony were friends. In fact, the majority of the times in which they were associating with each other is based off of Karmelo Anthony's girlfriend or the girl that he was with of some sort, which clearly means that Karmelo Anthony was oblivious to this entire situation and friendship environment or scenario. So when you look at all of the factors, if Eddie Parra invited Karmelo Anthony over with no real intention of befriending him or being a friend, as he's already testified and said specifically that he only talked to him briefly and then that was it. If Eddie Parra also invited Austin Metcalf or Austin Metcalf or Hunter Metcalf or any one of those friends who were with Austin Metcalf and they knew Austin Metcalf had intention, because clearly it shows that Austin Metcalf had some type of intention, because he came straight through and up to Karmelo Anthony without hesitation, nonstop, went straight to him. This is clear intent. This can be perceived as clear intent. Then we know for a fact that this was a setup. The question is, again, is there definitive text or communication between Eddie Parra and Hunter Metcalf, or Eddie Parra and Austin Metcalf, or any one of the individuals that showed up with Hunter Metcalf or Austin Metcalf? Because if that's the case, then this situation, this environment, and this scenario should not have been investigated as a homicide against Karmelo Anthony, but it should have been a homicide against Austin Metcalf, Hunter Metcalf, Eddie Parra, and anybody else that was involved. Because we can use legalese and legal cases for precedent to where an individual or a group of individuals go in to rob a store. If the shop owner shoots and kills one of the robbers, but then the entire group is held responsible with homicide, with murder, because it was done during the commission of a felony. A concerted group action is 3 or more individuals whom are engaging in physical assault, and not all of them have to engage in physical assault, but they all have to be a part of the same plan or group, which we have at least 3 people. It's uncertain if Eddie Parra is a part of this group or any other people are a part of this group, but we know we have at least 3 people a part of this concerted group that have engaged Karmelo Anthony to leave the tent. These are all co-conspirators, which means because Karmelo Anthony acted with stand your ground doctrine and the concerted group effort, or the concerted group action, that 3 or more people had the same idea and mindset to get Karmelo Anthony to leave, then the homicide charge should have been against Hunter Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, possibly Eddie Parra, and any other individual that was responsible or that interacted within that group perspective and group mind frame or hive mind frame or mindset. This is the definitive proof, right? That it's already been established that Karmelo Anthony had a right to self-defense, again, through concerted group action as well as stand your ground doctrine. So the question begets, was this investigation done on the premise that it was easier to prosecute Karmelo Anthony, the only black person within this scenario and situation, for homicide, rather than charge Hunter Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, Eddie Parra, and any other individual who was involved in the situation with aggravated assault, because it was 3 or more individuals who were all participants within this concerted effort to get Karmelo Anthony to move out the tent, as well as now homicide, because aggravated assault is a felony. And during the commission of a felony, you have the application of equal responsibility for that homicide. Just like we've seen when individuals participate when they go rob somebody, and during that commission of a robbery, which is a felony, that the shop owner can shoot and kill one of the robbers, now all the robbers get charged with homicide as well. This is the same correlation, it's the same consideration. So the question begets, I believe Carmelo Anthony was set up. The evidence, while it may not be at this point in period tangible, it is circumstantial. And we all know for a fact, especially me, that circumstantial evidence can be used in the court of law. And as it stands right now, Carmelo Anthony was invited over by an individual who did not consider him to be a friend. This same individual was friends with Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf, because the same individual has testified saying that Austin Metcalf used to always try to lead us and stand up for us. This needs to be investigated by the district attorney, the attorney general. This needs to be investigated, because the reality of the situation is we are trying to move forward collectively as a whole, as a nation. This is no longer about race, color, creed, culture, religion. If we are going to move forward collectively as a country, as a society, then this needs to be investigated appropriately, because what it looks like right now is the fact that Carmelo Anthony was the lesser of two evils.